Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful morning. Good morning from wherever you're watching us from. I'm hoping that you're okay since we were together last evening. I did promise you that today we are going to be continuing with what we stopped yesterday. But I also do hope that you woke up fine, that you're well this morning. And welcome to Impact Dialogues with me, Ruth Wanjiru, this morning. What we are going to do is that we are going to check some of the stories that Mayuno are hitting the headlines this morning, and also later afterwards we are going to be having a newspaper review. We are going to be reviewing our newspapers and see what is happening. But let's start off with the stories that are kicking the headlines. And I want to start with President William Ruto, who has expressed confidence in the impact of the school feeding program that is in fostering learning and enhancing retention of students in schools. Now, speaking during the second ministerial meeting of the Global Schools Meals Coalition, that was yesterday, the president explained that the program currently benefits 2.6 million students, a significant increase from 240,000 learners, which was in 2009. Now, the head of state also projected that the program aims to 10 million learners by 2030, citing that the budget has been tripled. Now, leaders attending the event also noted that the program is important for the children in Kenya. Let's take a listen.
When we sit around a table, when we sit in a meeting like this to discuss our children, it is sacred. And it is the right thing to do. And it's emotional when we are discussing about feeding our children. Hunger remains a significant challenge to the well-being of many, particularly in arid and semi-arid areas, and also in our informal settlements. To address this, we have tripled the budgetary allocation for school feeding and set a clear goal to expand the program's coverage from 2.6 million kids to 10 million children by 2030.
School meals increase school enrollment. It improves school attendance. It creates gender parity and contributes to improved health and nutritional status. This ultimately enhances the ability to focus, engage, and succeed academically.
Kenya has been an inspiring champion for school meals in recent decades. For many years, the World Food Program and successive Kenyan governments have worked together to deliver nutritious meals to school children across the country. Since 2018, the program has been fully led by the government. And thanks to President Ruto's commitment and vision, it continues to go from strength to strength. Kenya is a shining example to other countries that want to invest in their children and their futures.
Yeah, and moving on swiftly. Now, Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja has outlined how his county government is tracking pupils studying within the city to ensure that they all benefit from the Dishina County School Feeding Program. Now, speaking during the ministerial meeting on the Global School Meal Coalition that happened yesterday, the governor revealed that his county tracks students through the Dishina County smart watches. Now, according to the city boss, the Dishina County model is designed to be accessible to all students, where all their parents pay a nominal fee of 5 shillings, facilitated through the tap-to-eat payment system that has been embedded in a digital near-field communication, that is an NFC watch. Now, through this watch, the county government harnesses technology and data to make sure that all pupils in Nairobi schools are well fed. Now, according to the governor, the watches were innovated by young Kenyan people right here in the city. Let's take a listen.
Our model is designed to be accessible to all. Parents pay a nominal fee of 5 shillings, which is hardly 4 US cents, facilitated through a tap-to-eat payment system embedded in a watch like this that I'm wearing. Through this watch, and if you go around Nairobi, you'll see all our children wearing this watch. It's an NFC device. We're harnessing technology and data to make sure all our children are well fed. And of course, Nairobi, is a silicon savannah. So being a hub of innovation, our young people are the ones who innovated this. And we're telling many things. For instance, we can tell if a child is skipping school through this technology. We can tell how often they are attending. wastage is close to 0% because we're using predictive analytics to prepare meals so that there's no extra. It is just enough for those schools that we're going. And it's more than that. The children refuse to remove this watch because it has given them identity. And when they go back home and on the weekends, they're still wearing this watch. They feel loved, they feel seen, they feel heard, and it gives them dignity. No child is pulled out of the school line in case the wallet doesn't have that 5 shillings. We take note of it and we pay for it.
Now, on to our next story. President William Ruto has revealed that the government is planning on employing 20,000 teachers. 20,000 teachers. Now, speaking during the second ministerial meeting on the Global School Meals Coalition, the head of state cited that the retooling of teachers will help streamline learning in schools. Now, in addition to this, President Ruto has also stated that the government has completed preparations for the transitioning of the grade 9 students to make sure that the transition is smooth. Now, this is also in connection with the recently announcement made by the TSC, that is the Teacher Service Commission, citing an opening of 20,000 internship spots for JSS teachers. Take a look.
In the last 2 years, we've hired 56,000 teachers more. And next January, we are hiring another 20,000 teachers so that every child in our schools have access to a teacher and they can learn. It is also a moment that even as we move into grade 9, we've not only finalized the process of building an extra 11,000 classrooms as government. I've also asked our members of parliament, using their constituency development fund, to also build another 6,000 classrooms so that next year we are ready to make sure that every child that grows to grade 9 have a classroom, they have a teacher, and I am very happy to announce that we have already made all the learning material available. There will be a book, every subject for every learner, to make sure that our transition is complete and our transition is effective.
Now, still on matters education, learning in all public universities across the country has been paralyzed after lecturers downed their tools yesterday. Now, the University Academic Staff Union, that is the UASU, declared that their strike will be on until the government heeds to their demands, as stipulated in the 2012-2025 collective bargaining agreement. Now, led by their Secretary General, that is Constantine Wasonga, the lecturers called on the government to honor the negotiation of the negotiated return to work formula, which had numerous benefits to cater for their welfare. They have also vowed not to return to work until their dues are paid. And on to some business news. Now, Kenya Power has recorded as 43.6 billion shillings and 30.5 billion after-tax profit for the financial year 2023-2024. Now, the big power supplier cited that the profit is largely due to the strengthening of the Kenyan shilling, which is now trading at 129 shillings. That is 129 shillings against the US dollar. Now, the financial year, which ended in June, I beg your pardon for that. Now, the institution has also added that the financial year, which ended in June, has increased their sales by 21%, that is to 231 billion shillings from 190 billion, which was recorded during the previous trading year. Yes, some good news right there for the Kenya Power. Profit is always nice. Now, moving on to our next story. Now, the Supreme Court of Kenya yesterday overturned the Court of Appeal's judgment on the Finance Bill 2023, that is terming it as unconstitutional. Now, the lower court had ruled that the Finance Act 2023 was unconstitutional after the shelving of the 2024 version. Now, petitioners argued that the public participation was not lawfully conducted, and as such, the piece of legislation was null and void. Now, the Supreme Court, however, ruled that the public participation in the Finance Act 2023 2023 was lawfully conducted. The Supreme Court, in its verdict, upheld the two findings issued by the Court of Appeal. Now, a total of 11 petitioners were lodged before the High Court by the 49 respondents, all of which challenged the constitutionality of the Finance Act 2023. Some of the petitioners had argued that parts of the Finance Act went beyond the scope of money as defined in Article 114 of the Constitution. Yeah, exactly. And that is our last story of today morning. That is what is hitting our headlines. I think I left a story out. I'm going to read that before we go on a short break. And I invite my panel for our newspaper review this morning. This is on Gachagwa's impeachment hearing. And now, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua yesterday mounted a strong defense to have the court overturn his ouster from office, as he warned of trouble should the court uphold his removal. Now, through his lawyer, that is John Kaminwa, Gachagua alleged that together with President William Ruto, they are inseparable and that one cannot be taken away and another left behind. Now, pleading with the three-judge bench hearing on the matter against the lifting of the conservatory orders in order to pave way for the swearing-in of the deputy president-elect, that is Kithure Kindiki, Kaminwa cited that caution has to be exercised. The bench last week had dismissed the petitioner's application for recusal after finding that the claims raised are unsubstantiated and falling short of the threshold required for the recusal of a judge. We are going to be looking much into that because the hearing did happen yesterday. We are going to be looking much into that in our newspaper review together with my panel. And that is what is hitting your headlines this particular morning. I sure do hope that you are well updated. I want us to take a very short break, a very tiny short break. And then I'm going to invite my panel on set and then we do the paper review. Do not go anywhere. Amazing. Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, this is Impact Dialogues with me, Ruth Wanjiru. And today we are doing a newspaper review. We just looked at some of the stories that are hitting the headlines, and I want us to get much deeper into them to see what our dailies are saying today. With me here today, I have the three of the best, I believe. We have the Standard, the Star, and the Daily Nation. But before we get into this, you can see two gentlemen with me here. I have Kajwang on my right side and then Mwadime on my left side. I want the gentlemen to introduce themselves so that we can move further. Let me start with Nicholas. Karibu Oracle TV.
Thank you so much, Ruth. My name is Nick Mwadime Mwangi. I'm the National Executive Director at MKUSA. MKUSA is Mount Kenya Colleges and University Student Association. And today you see that our nation is in a crisis. We appear as if we're in a funeral. Kenyans are wounded and they are trying to find a solution. And you can see the sad state to which our parents, our children, our community, and we are going into a festive season, and we seem as if we are just coming into a funeral. We are mourning that
right.
there are so many things are not going right in this country. We are still not understanding what SHA is. We are still trying to grasp it. We are still, we student leaders still want to understand the new education funding model. There's been a high rate of dropout level from the numbers are really scaring me. I was just looking at it in the morning. I see the rate has gone from 45%. We are currently at 72.
Wow, the dropout rate.
And you see, we are still not a talent-based community. We're still not there as a country. So we heavily rely on going to school, getting the white-collar job, because our systems are not yet empowered enough to believe that Nick, who's an aspiring leader of this country, has been model enough to start his own leadership school. So it's a very sad situation that I wonder what is really positive about our newspapers, because I was just looking at them. It is just a sad state. Yeah.
All right. What an opening. And on my other side, I have a Kajwang. Kajwang, Karibu Oracle TV. I do believe, gentlemen, it is not the first time you guys are here.
Yes,
so I'm sure some of them are quite familiar with your faces. But just for someone who doesn't know you, Kajwang, Karibu.
Thank you, Ruth. This is SK Kajwang. I've served in a number of capacities. And in the student sphere, and I've also served in the youth space as a mouthpiece. But what supersedes all is I'm a patriotic and committed citizen of this country, and I'm going to defend it by sweat, by blood, and by tears.
Okay.
To ensure that the young population of this country are able to get their rights. Yes.
That's quite an opening, a patriot.
Yes,
you're going to defend it by blood and sweat.
By blood, by sweat, by tears.
You know, uzalendo. Now, ladies and gentlemen, back at home, so we have three newspapers here with us. The Standard, their headlines today read, "You are out, DP told as he goes for Ruto." That is their headline for today. I don't know if my producer has that, but I do believe you can see it from here. And then we have the Star. This one is focusing on Kalonzo. That is quoting Gema, why Kalonzo is targeting rebels. As Nicholas says, nothing so much interesting. And then we have the outrage of a police phone spying expose. This one has been trending, I think, for the whole of last night. Yeah. So I don't know what you gentlemen think about the headlines. Who do you think did justice this morning? Kati ya zote tatu.
In my opinion, if I was a good marketer, I would really go for the Standard.
The Standard.
Because
okay.
Not so many people understand about phone spying. and also not people also are interested about what is actually going on. But people are interested about what is actually happening in our country. Why are we saying the deputy president is out? And I was telling my good friend the other day from Roysambu, the situation that this government of the day put us, we are yet to think of this analogy that goes on in Mount Kenya, that it is better to choose a good mother for your children than a beautiful wife for yourself.
Wow. Okay.
So we are here in this situation wondering, is it really true what our fathers are saying in the mountain? That the father did not choose a good wife? Or is it a circumstance that we are suffering as the children? And it is a very sad situation as I look at what is actually happening on the standard. And it's very unfortunate that I did not vote in this government. I'm still a supporter of the opposition that opposed this government today, because we believe that they did not meet the threshold.
Okay.
And that's why we are saying that 2 years down the line, this is not what we are supposed to be discussing, Ruth. It does not empower a young Kenyan from Mount Kenya or a young Kenyan from the country. It does not.
Interesting.
It does not involve how my education funding model at Kenyatta University, at JKUAT University, at Technical University, it does not meet the threshold.
Okay.
So we are stuck in a situation whereby for the last 2 months, we are still discussing politics. Yet our parents are crying out about SHA. People are not receiving the healthcare system. Yet our parents are still struggling with the new education funding model. So it really, as I said earlier, it really makes me sad, because I'm reading what I'm not supposed to be reading. We are talking about a deputy president designate, because right now we cannot say deputy president elect because he has not been elected according to the constitution. So he has just been appointed by the president. And we are going to see this court, this case dragging for a long time, because we're just at the high court level. We have to see when it goes to the Court of Appeal, because I know it will get there. We have to see when it goes to the Supreme Court. So on a technicality, we are going to have a long festive season.
Okay, and we are going to get much into details on that. But first of all, Kajwang, who do you think did justice this morning between the Standard, the Star, and the Daily Nation? Which is your favorite headline upper?
I think it is one of the greatest disillusionment for me to wake up this morning to have a conversation of trying to dig out and understand what, in layman's language, the Standard is urging Kenyans that you are out. DP told as it goes for Ruto. And it makes, I think, one of the greatest threats to the democracy of our country, because we as Kenyans, I can say, for those who are elected, whether you elected it or not, it is a government that is in place. So allow me to say, we woke up last year in August, in 2022, in August, and elected this government. But 2 years down the line, the government has proved its incompetency in handling the issues affecting Kenyans.
Okay.
Then we have this one, the Daily Nation. This is something that is really touchy, that is frustrating, and that poses a great threat to the privacy rights of citizens. Whereby now the government is trying to launch and is launching the National Research Institute to investigate any Kenyan who is opposing the government. Then when you're opposing the government through those encryptions, they'll find you, they'll abduct you. And that is why you're having such a cases in this country, which are quite unprecedented.
Okay.
Yes.
And let's start off with the Standard, because I think both of you have really liked what is going on here. And I think it is because the story that has been on our headlines for a while is about the DP Ruto. So that one is on, I think, page 4 and 5. Then we have focus shifts to KCSE as a grade 6 test close. I think walishamaliza KIPSEA. That is why KCSE is almost starting. So they are starting. I think they should be starting somewhere around next week for rehearsals.
It should make you worried, Ruth,
yeah.
because last year we registered over 198,000 Kenyans to the university, right? Who clear the KCSE rather.
Yeah. Okay.
But those that can be accounted for is just 14% of that population who have joined the higher learning system. It should now worry you that those who are doing the national exam at this stage, where are they going? You know, in our days, or rather, through the JAB system, through the KUSEP system, that education funding model was so easy that we could clearly know that I'm finishing high school or secondary school, I'm going to university. I myself did an engineering course at the Technical University of Kenya. And we are put in a situation whereby the course that I did, which I was paying 30,000 in a year because of the funding model, the old funding model, the current course that we are talking about, my course goes to 615,000, not just in a year, but in a semester.
Okay.
So I'm looking at the desperate situation that we are putting both the parents and you're putting both the graduates from the high school right now. And it's a terrible risk, Ruth, because I'm assuming we will have a lot of individuals who will get A and A minus, right? It's a high society risk to have such intelligent mind who are not contained by the education system.
Okay, and Kajwang, you've been a student leader for, at the Mount Kenya University for a while. Actually, you've been their president. So how as Nicholas says, I did hear him say that the school dropout rate is really increasing, and we've seen that also on our news and our headlines. So how do you think this is going to affect those who are doing their KCSE? Because right now we are preparing for them to go sit for their exams, for them to be placed in universities. So how much do you think this is going to affect them?
My opinion, my personal opinion, is the system that we operated when we were joining universities during our time was flexible, and it had some kind of composure in terms of treating students who are joining equally. But immediately President William Ruto came to power as president. He introduced some mechanisms, including the university funding system, which is very inflexible, and it's actually an oppressive system. And I can say, out of experience, having served as president of a university, I know the dire need that students have to acquire these certificates. And you know very well that the entry rate from those who are graduating from high school to the university is arguably a good number. But when you do a competitive comparison between those who are graduating to university and those who are graduating from university out here finding an employment, it's arguably a deteriorating rate. And that is why I will say, and I will suggest, if I was given an opportunity, because Nelson Mandela said that it is only through education that a child of a peasant can be able to become doctor and can be able to become an equivalent of every other profession that are available in this world. And it is only through education that we can be able to treat all our children in a very fair manner. Therefore, if you are introducing systems that are taking the students of Kenya in disarray, that are taking the students of Kenya in a lot of systematic complexion, that really does not produce the demeanor of academic excellence, then that proves a point of incompetence in terms of governance. And therefore, from the Ministry of Education, because they are responsible, they are being monitored from the president himself. Because if they were given an opportunity to even decide the kind of system that have been proven by the professionals that it is worthy of taking into consideration, then that will be for the greatest beneficiary of the Kenyan student. But as a Kenyan, as a contemporary Kenyan student, I will say that we are greatly pained, we are greatly frustrated, and we are not going to allow this system to go at stake. We are going to come out to ensure that we resist with the greatest terms possible.
Okay, and speaking about trying to streamline the education ministry, yesterday President William Ruto did say that he is going to be retooling teachers, and we also did see TSC announce 20,000 JCSE posts for internships, the same number that President William Ruto gave. I think I saw it. I don't know if it's in the Daily Nation or the Standards. I'm going to look for that. But Nicholas, what do you think about this? Are we seeing light at the end of the tunnel?
I really want to constrain myself from getting trapped from the goodies of the president, His Excellency William Ruto. But rather, we're in a dire situation whereby we need teachers in our secondary schools. We need classes. We need the infrastructure. Because I want you to just clearly picture this, Ruth. We have adopted the CBC system, right? Recently, I saw a clip at the Citizen TV that the children in Kitui County who are going through the CBC system are still taking their classes under a tree. Where are we as a country? You know that's a very, very, very sad situation. That how do you compare somebody who's learning from who has learned under a tree and someone who's in classroom? How do you reduce that disparity, right? Because this government is supposed to make sure that in as much as we are not equal, we provide equity. That there are areas in this country where there are still classes that are missing. There are still teachers that are missing. Let it not be just a pronunciation from him that he's going to employ over 20,000 teachers. Let us see actual and hard facts. And that's what you are saying. And that's what you are saying as what I want to agree with my good friend, SK Kajwang. We are in a situation whereby we are doomed if you do, and you are damned if we don't. Because we cannot criticize the government freely. Our constitutional right, Article 32 and 33 of the Constitution is getting infringed because we cannot publicly express ourselves. That's why you will see on the papers, I think it's either the Daily or the Standard, it's talking about abductions. In this still era under the Constitution, 2010 Constitution, come on, Ruth.
Okay. For those of you who want to know where that story is, it's on the Standard. That is page 8, where President William Ruto has promised that by December, 11,000 classes for grade 9 will be ready, and also the TSC announcement on the jobs, on the intern jobs, I think, and also the university lecturers strike. We are back at it again. To strike tena.
Because you see, ideally, if you go to Moi University, I talked to my leaders in the Moi University. They're telling me they just came out from a 2 months holiday period. And sadly enough, the holiday period has extended. One is supposed to finish a course after 4 years. There's still a waiting list for graduates, for people to graduate. And you know, it is a sad state that the war between different stakeholders, at the end of the day, the people who are feeling the pinch are the students. That the people who are still feeling the pinch with this new education system, be it CBC, be it KEPSA, or whatever name they want to put it, is still as the students. And that's what we are saying, Ruth, that in as much as there's a dire need to change the systems, let us look at is it really worth it at this point to come up with a new system entirely, or to improve the existing loopholes that are in the system? Because clearly, I cannot see what was failing in the old systems. That we are trying to implement a system called CBC without no preparation at all.
And will it that be like taking us back miles backwards, because this system has been in place for a while. Right now we are waiting for the grade 9 to transition. Is this not going to take us steps back?
I want to give you a good example. When former President Mwai Kibaki, the late, came up with a new system of free education model, which was a very good system. One of the things that at that point of time he overlooked was the transition period from secondary to campus to the employment.
Okay.
That's why you have at this point of time that the employment rate has not just shot at a high rate in this country. We are at 92%. That only 8% of the population of this country are employed.
Okay, that is matters education. Now, because of time, I want us to move swiftly so we can make sure that we check most of the stories that are in the paper. That is in terms of education. We have Kenya Power. They've said that they have a 30 billion profit compared to their loss. Last financial year, they got a loss. That is in terms of business. Then we have the story of Willis Ayeko. You can get that on page 3 of the Standard. Page 2 of the Standard actually focuses on the hiccups of SHA. The hiccups of SHA, and this is the case that is currently, I think, in court. One of those who have taken it there is, of course, a CS Omtata. Kajua, what do you think about SHA? Where are we? Because I did see the PS for Health saying that it is not the system, that kuna vitu wanaangalia hapa na pale. It is just the transitioning challenge, teething problems, and then they are going to sort it all out. Where do you think we are?
Generally speaking, from my point of perspective and knowledge in governance, I will say there was no problem with NHIF. NHIF is a system that had served Kenya for more than 2 decades. Since 1998 to just very recently, when President William Ruto came into power, they saw that it was not worthy of providing equal health insurance cover to Kenyans. And I will say NHIF had better, bigger, equal, and I will say expansive treatment in terms of healthcare to Kenyans. But this social health insurance that has been brought and imposed to Kenyans, I will say it's something that has just been conditioned because of some deals somewhere that people want to get money from.
Allegedly. Yeah, allegedly.
I will say that. Then you cannot tell us that you are now bringing in a new health system without telling us the problem with the former health system.
Okay.
What was the problem of not amending the NHIF, that now you want to bring in a new system which will accrue bigger cost in terms of funding it? And this cost will go back to Kenyans in terms of those who are funding it in taxes. So why overburden us that we have to pay this thing, and we have an existing system that had registered very numerous advantages in terms of disseminating healthcare to Kenyans, and now you want to bring in a new system whereby billions of shillings are going to be wasted in terms of building its mechanisms, building its frameworks, and ensuring that it takes cost. So let us look at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is the government has some knowledge about some things that we as Kenyans do not know, but at some point we came to realize that it is some kind of deals that are being shrouded and
choreographed. I am going to stop you right there because we cannot substantiate what you're saying. I will Yeah, we do apologize for that short hiccup here and there. We see when you're working with things that are made with hands, some of these things do happen. But we were speaking about SHA, and I was telling you that you can get that story on the Standard on page 2. That is where you're going to find more about what Senator Omtata is saying about that particular one. Then on page 3, I did tell you it is about Willis Ayeko, of course, the HR who was apparently murdered. They've already started with the investigations. I see they've already arrested a suspect. That you can also follow that. It's quite an interesting story. Now on page 4 of the Standard, it talks about Gachagua. Now, according to the Standard, it says that in a hearing yesterday, Gachagua through his lawyers did say that the EACC, the IEBC, plus the parliament, plus the president, hii unasemanga kila mtu alikuamulia tu wakakuamulia tu wakuchukue. So Gachagua is also claiming that Kindiki is not approved, or rather he is not eligible to be appointed as a DP. You can get that story on page 4. I don't know if you checked that out, Nicholas. I don't know what you think about that story.
Sadly enough, our president created a lacuna. Now that we don't have a commission of the IEBC, according to the constitution, it's only the IEBC who can declare office vacant.
Yeah.
So again, sadly enough, our House of Parliaments are also political. So the only hope that I will say the Deputy President has, if and only if, he's still to retain as the Deputy President of this country, is the court. And the challenge of the court they have is, I know they will entirely look at the process, but so many Kenyans are looking at the court because they still want to know, and they're looking at the leadership of Martha Koome, because they have lost hope with the National Assembly. They have lost hope with the Senate. Now their only hope is
the courts. Yeah.
The third arm of our country, or our government, the judiciary. And it's a heavy burden, but I want to encourage the judiciary, because the common mwananchi can only hope for the court, because where do you run to, Ruth, when your rights have been infringed?
To the court, yeah.
And we're imagining a situation whereby President Ruto controls the executive. Apparently, he controls also the two houses of parliament. Now, we want to see also, does he also control the judiciary?
Okay.
Yeah.
And because of time, I want us to do this very quick. Kajua, what do you think about that story, or everything about the DP? The court hearing was yesterday. I think the DP claims that Kindiki is not eligible to be voted in, to be nominated rather, as the deputy president, because apparently he wasn't in the UDA party he only joined the UDA party 3 months prior, so it is not allowed according to him. And also they said that ilikuwa ni wanajeshi huku wote wakamwamkia. I don't know what you think about that, Kajwa.
All those arguments are substantive matters that have been argued by advocates before the court. And sometimes as Kenyans, having read the constitution, understand the laws, doesn't find the rift or the differentiation of trying to see who is talking the truth and who is being fallacious. But let me say, this marriage is very much inconvenienced. Just after 2 years, when the knot was tied. But I generally blame President William Ruto, because there is something that he is trying maybe to hide. Because what are the reasons? Because this is just a political series that we are watching. What are the reasons that pushed President William Ruto to want Rigathi Gachagua out as his deputy? Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah.
But allow me to say that we as Kenyans do not want to participate in this mischievous act of impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua. What we want as Kenyans, more so young people in this country, is for serious issues concerning our economic status to be addressed. We do not want to hear about this series of these debating issues about what they have been able to do for 2 years, what they are doing right now, because the difference is there is a difference between what you speak and what you do. This government speaks a lot but does very little. So if the government now objects itself from a point of speaking to doing, then we as Kenyans will be able to appreciate from that. But from an objective lens, this government for the next 3 years, there is completely nothing it is going to achieve. So when it comes to 2027,
I think we should give them time.
no, when it comes to 2027, we should throw them out, or even before 2027, because they have been able to impeach Rigathi Gachagua. They should also be able to impeach President William Ruto, and everyone should go home.
Let's move on swiftly now. Page 6 of the Standard is talking about the Finance Act 2023. Apparently, the court yesterday ruled that it is constitutional. You can get more of that story on page 6. I don't know. Did you expect this?
The Supreme Court.
Yeah, the Supreme Court
nullified the ruling of the Court of Appeal.
Exactly.
Because the Court of Appeal, you see, what the court does ideally is look at the process.
Yeah.
You see, and that's why I'm urging Kenyans. Let us understand our arms of government. What are the responsibility of the judiciary? What are the responsibility of the legislature? What are the responsibility of the executive? Now, each let me say on the judiciary part, each house, because there's the magistrate, there's the High Court, there's the Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court. Each of them act independently. And your grievances can always be heard at each level. Now, when the Court of Appeal ruled that Finance Act 2023, which we were using, it really positioned us in a very bad state, because that is what economically we were using to survive as a country. Now the court has ruled, the Supreme Court has ruled, Finance Act 2023 is now constitutional because it met the legal mandate of the process of participation. So in that regards, it really makes me worried because I can only foresee another Finance Act in Parliament.
True.
That's what makes me worried. And if and only if this Finance Act meets the threshold of public participation, I assure you that Finance Act 2025 is coming very fast, and there's nothing that's going to stop it at this juncture.
Kajwang, did you expect that particular ruling?
Let me say I'll allow or respect the jurisprudence under the decision that was made by the jurisdiction of the court, but the burden now has been thrown to us. And I will say this burden now we as Kenyans have now to go back to the government to ask the government questions, because there can be no government without the people. The government is the people. Therefore, in anything that the government wants to do, they first have to ask the people if the people wants it. And as a Kenyan who represents young people in this country, I'll say confidently that we do not want that Finance Act. The parliament was impeached by the Gen Zs on 25th of June this year. And therefore, those MPs have no mandate to exercise any jurisprudence in terms of making decision on our behalf, because we impeached them. So the president should come back to the ground, how they used to tell us during politics that they are going to listen to the ground. They should now come back and listen to the ground. And we are saying we do not want that Finance Act. We do not want anything. Right now, they are telling us that they are creating employment using this housing project. That housing project, in fact, that housing is a project for slaves.
Because
Okay.
if you can see the money that is being given to people who are working in that projects are peanuts. Peanuts. Little money. How can you give people little money and you are overworking them big hours? Those projects are meant for slaves. And therefore, we as young people of this country have gone to school, we have our papers. We did not go to school to acquire these degrees to come and work in these houses, to build houses.
Okay, and in the interest of time, I'm going to cut you short. We take a look at the Daily Nation. This is outrage over police phone spying expose. Now, it has been revealed through an expose that while they're investigating criminals, they are having, I don't want to call it partnership, but they are collaborating with the telecommunications to make sure that they get the details. So this has really caused an outrage. I don't know if you've come across that story, Nicholas.
I just want to look at, I'm looking at the Constitution,
Okay.
The article that, I'm forgetting the article, but there's an article in our Constitution that talks about privacy.
Yeah.
And it's a very sad state that
We are positioned badly as Kenyans that our phones are getting spied. And ideally, let me say, because I have no proof to it, rather, the only issue that our phones could be being spied is because as a result of the Gen Z movement. Because this thing really put the president in a very bad situation.
That's true.
And since then, I think he's really been worried what Kenyans are talking about his government. And one thing I want to encourage the president, because it's a lot of work. Don't focus on spying what Kenyans are talking about you. Rather focus on delivering the promises that you keep saying day by day.
Okay.
Because, Ruth, I will tell you, if the government of the day focuses on building the systems, right, then the anger that Kenyans are feeling right now will reduce.
Okay.
Because one thing that you will note, Ruth, if you just walk out here, Kenyans are very angry, and they're getting angrier by the day, and that's why we saw millions of Kenyans on June 25th of this year coming out on the streets, and it is a very sad situation. Again, I repeat that our relationship, our faith, or our hope of change in this government is gone. And that's why we have vocal leaders who are coming out and saying, we are feeling exhausted because we are going to introduce Finance Act 2025. That is through our taxes. And the average income of a Kenyan in this country is 10,000 shillings. The average income, right? And the cost of living in Nairobi has shot very high. The cost of living in our rural areas is high. We were expecting rains this season, Ruth. Our farmers are not farming. There's no rain, there's no food. So, can you try and imagine what's going to happen? Because ideally, this whole issue of spying is just aggravating Kenyans.
Okay.
And I want to encourage the president because he swore an oath of preservation of the Constitution to ensure that Article 1 of the Constitution, the sovereignty of the people, is protected. We are feeling very unsafe with this situation. I know the NIS and the EACC are independent bodies, quote unquote, but we encourage him to stop spying on us.
Okay, and you can get more of that story on page 4. I'm really trying to go fast. in the interest of time. And still on the Daily Nation, on the front page, we have Gachagua goes after Kindiki. I think we've already spoken about that. Then you have the shift crisis. You can get that on page 2. The Gachagua story, you can get it on page 7 of the Daily Nation.
Article 31, privacy.
Article 31 in
Yes,
the Privacy Act.
That every person has the right to privacy, which includes the privacy right not to have their person, home, or property searched. That is
Okay.
Article 31 of
That
the
is
Constitution.
in the Constitution. That is the privacy.
Yes.
Yeah.
The privacy of their communications shall not be infringed.
Okay, interesting. You think we should take more time in reading our Constitution? And then on page 6 of the Daily Nation, we have the story about the Finance Act. You can check that out. Page 3, it's about the Wells Fargo HR boss. I think it's actually a repetition of just what we had in the Standard. Some of the stories that are making headlines now. I think I want us to look at this last one before we close, where the MPs have formed a mediation team that to end the county's funding disagreements. So apparently, the National Assembly agrees on 30 billion shillings, but the Senate imekatalia pale kwa 400 billion shillings. I mean 380 billion shillings. I beg your pardon for that. And because there has been these disagreements, they formed a mediation team. This team is supposed to, go and mediate and try and come up with one figure. Kajwang, what do you think about this?
Ruth, allow me add my voice to the privacy
Yeah, go ahead.
issue before I finalize on the county proposition by the members of parliament. And I will say the truth will always remain the truth, and the truth is indefatigable. The truth can never be defeated. That is a fact, and it is very unfortunate. It is very disenfranchising. It is very disenchanting, and it is quite alarming that at a time such as this, when Kenyans are going through a whirlwind of misfortunes caused by the economic debacles caused by this government, the government now is infringing into the rights and moving contrary to Article 31 of the Constitution to search and find conversation that Kenyans are having. Sasa sahi kama comrades, they are having conversation with their girlfriends. Sahi government inaingia hapo inaenda kuona conversation that we as comrades are having with our girlfriends. I want to tell the government, wacheni kuona conversations zenye tunachat tuko na girlfriends wetu. Leave us alone. We as young people of this country are sick and tired of scenarios, movies, series that this government is launching every other time, rather than focusing on real issues. They are coming to do unnecessary things here and there. And I will say, what is the need of searching our phones? And we are outside here saying that we do not want this government. We are outside here complaining. We are outside here saying that we do not have employment. We are outside here condemning extrajudicial killings. We are outside here condemning abductions. We are outside here saying hatutaki ufisadi, hatutaki uongo, hatutaki utapeli, hatutaki ukora. We are outside here condemning everything that the government is doing. What is the need of you going through our phones and checking what we are doing? So I will tell the government to restrain itself from doing the necessary things, do the necessary things of building the country, build the economy for the purpose of its citizens. Then finally, on the MPs issue proposition on terms of equalization fund to the counties, there is no problem with giving funds to the counties, but the problem is theft, burglary, and stealing in gigantic proportions. The government gives money to the counties, but the counties, using their proxies, using those who have been elected by the people, steal those funds. Did you saw just there is a guy in Bomet who had stamps in the house. He was stamping deals and getting 1.6 billion shillings just at the bottom of his house. So why the reason why we are complaining as young people of this country is we do not want our country to be sold to the highest bidder. And we are very serious about it. Whether you like it or not, we are going to defend our democracy and we are going to defend the flag.
Interesting. I'm sorry for cutting you short, but my producer tells me that we are out of time. You can get that story on page 5 of the Daily Nation. Actually, most of the stories in the Star, the Standard, and the Daily Nation, they are those that are hitting the headlines. So you're going to get each and every one of them there. Do make sure that you get your favorite copy so you can know what is happening to your country. Now, before we wind up, and very shortly, in just 1 minute, I'm going to start with Nicholas. Kindly give us your parting shot.
Ruth, I want to give hope to Kenyans that all is not lost. That we are the face of this country. The sitting president is just our representative, and his term limit is 5 years. Let us not be fooled. That after 5 years, we shall make another decision of whether we want to re-employ him or not. Finally, because it's very important, I say this, Ruth. Yesterday, young people decided to open a new party. And this party is called Kenya Hadi Party. A party that is going to speak about what my good friend is saying. Because we have been given so many promises. That's why the young people have said, it is enough. We have had a lot. And finally, because people need to know that this party is going to defend their rights as they were promised in the manifesto of this government. So haki yako, ahadi yetu.
Interesting. That's a nice parting shot. Kajwang, give us your parting shot in a very short 1 minute.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. If you treat me right, I'll treat you right. If you love me, I'll love you. If you hate me, I'll hate you. The government should love its people and should treat its people with dignity. Once the government starts treating its people with dignity, we as Kenyans are going to allow the call of patriotism. So therefore, as Kenyans, let us ensure that we practice civility, practice and uphold the flag of our country and respect the constitution, follow it to the core and defend our nation.
Okay. Interesting. That is it from right here. The Impact Dialogues. I think tumekula time ya producer kidogo, but we do appreciate everyone who joined us today. And of course, so many thanks to Nicholas Modime and SK Kajwang for making it to Impact Dialogues this morning and for our newspaper review. I sure do hope to see you on Friday for this same issue, but do make sure that you stay tuned on Oracle Television Network for more programs that are coming your way. And also remember to continue partnering with us. 171133 is our pay bill number, and then account number Oracle TV. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, have a good day.